Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's January 6, 2026. We hope you all had a safe and happy new year. Please note this event is being recorded. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For everybody who's on Zoom today, please feel free to open up the chat window, put in your name, the position you're looking for, list 2 or 3 target companies, give us your LinkedIn address, your email address, connect with everybody else who's on the call today. That's what LinkedIn is all about, connecting with other people, because you never know who you may know, who they may know, who you know, who could help you know who to know next. So use LinkedIn, connect with everybody. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help the unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies. Since 2007, I've been leading and facilitating the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. And I'll tell you about our upcoming program this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIT crew. Don't wait until you have an interview to schedule an interview. Schedule one now. Practice early, practice often is their motto. For more information, just go to dallaspitcrew.com. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn on a monthly basis. Once a month, they each participate. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's a career consultant. He's been recruiting for many, many years. And today he's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting strategies that get results. So Locke, thank you for being with us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Jeff. And if you've shared the screen. I can get this out of the way. Well, that's my background up there, Jeff, and thank you for having me again. Your patience with me at times is amazing, because I'll call what they'll call a technical nerd. But one of the reasons that I do this is because so many people over the years have helped me in my job searches. I've been on your side of the table at least 5 times in my career, laid off, and at least a couple of those times it's been kind of struggles to go through. At least one of them was lasted for about 18 months. So it's no fun to being out there. It's also going to be kind of stressful on your nerves. And one of the reasons that I look at that is the roller coaster ride that you're on sometimes can be helped out by relying on the Lord. And that's one of the things that I do on a regular basis, try and do it on a daily basis. So that's kind of the background of where we are. There's my bio up there on the screen, as you can see, with Lee Heck Harrison. My most recent employment at Mullen International, an outplacement firm out of New York, and then some Fortune 500 companies on there as well. One of the things I mentioned about that is turning to the Lord in the scripture. This is a verse of scripture from Psalms. Blessed be the Lord, day after day, he bears our burdens, and he does that. And again, one of the things about that are the burdens that we sometimes bear in our job hunting are trying to establish relationships. Our pastor recently gave a sermon on relationships, and job hunting is one of those relationships we undergo. Again, it consists of a couple of parts, one of which is showing up. And on LinkedIn, as it relates to that, it's getting found in your profile. And then opening up what you've done and how well you've done it. Those are the kinds of things they're going to try and talk about and help you to improve today. So that's kind of where we're going to start. I will say that anybody who would like the slide deck, and there's some additional material that I just don't have time for, is at the tail end of this presentation on LinkedIn. I mean, on PowerPoint. So if you would like a copy, it's lockealderson@gmail.com. So I guess one of the questions that comes up, you've tuned in today to a LinkedIn presentation. You may have tuned into others. This may be your first time or maybe your 10th time to learn about LinkedIn. But why are you using LinkedIn? Well, if your goal is to get found by a recruiter or a hiring manager, LinkedIn is one of those tools that you want to use because it's used by probably 85, 90% of the recruiters out there use LinkedIn in some way, shape, or fashion, either paying for a subscription or using it in the free version, which is primarily what I did in 40 years as a recruiter. Only 25 of those, I guess 15 of those were actually with LinkedIn when it was active. And part of the presentation is help you to get found on LinkedIn. But if you want to look at it, I just updated this statistic this morning. Again, there are about 1.2 billion users on LinkedIn worldwide, and over 180 million of those are in the United States. So if LinkedIn is one of the tools that you're looking for, it's been, one person commented that's been an irreplaceable tool in my job search. The ability to show employers the exact experience and skills that I have on my profile is what ultimately landed me the job. And that's been the comment of several people I've worked with on their LinkedIn profiles and have landed jobs. And you can look at some of those on my LinkedIn profile. You drop down to recommendations. You can see some of the things that people have said about me, very kind words about that. So what we're going to try and do is break it into two parts. Again, I said there's bonus material at the end if you get the slide deck. But the two parts is, does your LinkedIn attract hiring managers and recruiters' attention? If it doesn't, that's what we're trying to do today to attract their attention. And there's a couple of things that are started with that. It all starts out with your LinkedIn profile. We're going to look at your headline and your open to work sections, your dashboard and your about sections, your professional work history, or employment history, your skills and endorsements. And then how are you optimizing your profile? And moving on to the search side of things, how do you go about searching for jobs? Well, a couple of things that you can use are job alerts and some filters, and then some homework for you. But your LinkedIn profile is right there. You can see a version of mine that's up there, a headshot, a banner background, and some headline that's there as well. But well, when it all starts with your headline, it's the only thing people see about you. What does it say about you? Does it address to what the recruiter really cares about? Those are some questions that you need to ask yourself as you work on your LinkedIn profile. Does the information that you've entered in there about yourself align with the market value and filters on LinkedIn? And yes, there are some filters on LinkedIn that screen out resumes and screen in resumes. And does your profile address your target market? And what is your target market? If you don't know, you need to do that. Well, let's look for a little bit further. How long has it been since you've actually updated your profile? Or does it look like an old rusty car because of a neglect? One of the things that you need to do about your LinkedIn profile is you need to tweak it at least once a week. And I say that because otherwise it's going to be like the produce at the grocery store, and you're going to go to see the apples and they're kind of bruised, or the tomatoes and they're bruised, or apples like that as well. But you want to have that because most of those things like dairy products and meat products have a freshness guarantee or the best used by date. So those are the kind of things that you could do, and we'll show you some easy things to do to update your profile and to address it on a regular basis. You've got 6 to 10 seconds to get my attention with your profile. What do you see on mine? Okay, you notice I've got a banner shot. That's of a cruise that I did in the Caribbean down near Venezuela recently, but that's been several years ago at Christmas time. I've got the open to work banner open around me and my headshot. I've got my name, and I've got a headline that's there beneath it. Again, that's a short headline, and that's one thing we want to talk about headlines. But it's a powerful tool in job search, networking, and career management. So creating a strong LinkedIn profile will boost your career and help you to land your dream job. Okay. So moving on, again, completing your profile will increase your LinkedIn rating. And every section of your LinkedIn profile has a value. And those values add up when the search is done and on the algorithm. And those appear at the top of each of those categories are the ones that filter to the top on the LinkedIn profile search. Another area that counts on your LinkedIn profile when they do a search is your activity on LinkedIn. It used to be I was on LinkedIn on a daily basis when I was a recruiter. And now I'm on maybe 2 or 3 times a week, although I do go out and look at LinkedIn on different times a day as well. But you want to use a professional headshot and a professional banner or background shot.
The headline should be the job title of a position or positions that you're actually looking for. You want to use the open to work section to list additional titles. And your about section really is an overview of your career and should highlight your accomplishments and use keywords. Your contact information is one of my bugaboos that I have, is not being able to find people's contact information. So I strongly advise that you put your contact information, both email and phone number, on the top line of your about section, because if we're not directly linked and you haven't opened up your security settings, I may have no way of getting in touch with you except through somebody else. So that's one of the things that you want to do. And if you don't have a headline, again, if you don't enter one yourself, LinkedIn will be kind enough to do one for you. They'll use the one of your last job that you've held, default to your last job title that you've had. Okay, so those are just some of the things we're going to talk about today in completing your search. Again, one more verse from Scripture. This one is from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So those are some things that we can talk about in terms of those hope and future, looking at it in terms of job hunting. So what about that? Does your headline, if your headline is the only thing somebody says about you, what does it really say about you? Does it identify who you are or tell who you are? Does it tell what you do or what you've done? Is it a grabber and what you've accomplished? Well, let's take a look at some headlines and take a look at that. Here's an old headline from me, okay? This is how it used to be. And again, if you do an evaluation of that headline, that HTTPS at the bottom, headlines, share through kind of account. Again, my original one had a 55 overall rating and a 65 for engagement and 55 for the impression. Well, I went through some changes and did some things to it. This is what I came up with. I beefed up the headline itself, and my overall score rating jumped from 55 to 75. My overall score didn't increase much because maybe the picture attracted people, but it went up about 10 points, and impression score went up about 20 points again. So that's a way that you can test your headline and see what it is. You notice that there's some changes in mine. And another thing that we can talk about, here are some sample headlines. I've kind of squeezed these in on the PowerPoint slide. Nothing wrong with any of these, and they are probably all true, but unemployed, retired, and seeking a new opportunity, formerly VP of Finance, have some negative connotations. People are going to ask, so what have you been doing since then? Again, improving, moving on down the list, experienced digital design engineer seeking a new opportunity is more descriptive, and that's what makes it easy. Remember, you have 6 to 10 seconds to get somebody's attention. The social media strategist and content manager seeking a new opportunity, has experience with print and digital media, has done public relations, marketing, and corporate communications. The next one, supply chain procurement and purchasing, is kind of succinct and short, but again, will get people's attention. And the others as well. Executive assistant, if I do a search in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for an executive assistant on LinkedIn, guess what? There are about 40,000 people with that on their profile. So adding additional descriptors to it, like budgeting and event planning, help to refine that, so it makes it easier to identify, are you a match for what the recruiter or hiring manager is looking for. Again, the IT project manager, that's again a short, succinct one, but has some key words in it like idle, scrum master, and agile. Again, general manager, manufacturing, aerospace, again, short, but again, that's a very narrow pyramid at the top. And this is one of those people at that area. Well, LinkedIn is somebody had come up with a way of adding to your LinkedIn profile by adding adjectives. And this is a chart that you can have. Again, by using some of these words that are on there, it will help to improve your profile and make it more readable, give more sense of who you are and what your accomplishments are. Here are some more descriptive headlines. Accountant, senior accountant, increasing productivity in highly regulated industries. Somebody's worked in telecom or public utilities. Project manager or product manager, program manager, specializing in international business and aerospace. Again, very succinct what that individual's done. Customer relations, raised output scores by satisfaction scores by 30%, an accomplishment listed there. Able to deliver, explain high tech to customers. Again, having worked in high tech where we're working with software, it was critical that people be able to explain what the software did to the customer. And likewise, business analysts who could take what the customer said and bridge the gap between techies and management. So those are some other headlines, as you can see. There's another set of ones. Again, The top one, the systems analyst, using digital indices, or I should need to change that because that's incorrect indices to reduce hospital admission paperwork by 54%. Anybody who's been to a hospital and gone through the admission process knows there's endless amounts of paper. It's kind of like buying a car. It used to be reams of paper that they would fill out when you buy a car. But those are some things that are on there as well. You can see that again, product and partner marketeer, again, has had experience with Apple and Microsoft Xbox. So they're somebody who's worked in the games industry. Again, helping to identify what the person has done. Another verse of scripture that I like is, peace, I leave you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives it to you, do I give it. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let them be afraid, from John's Gospel in the New Testament. Another thing that we wanted to use, some people are afraid or are reticent to use open to work. It's that banner that you see from about 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock on my photo there. Some people don't want that. I think there's a stigma attached to that. Well, there's not really. If you're looking for a job, you want people to know that and be able to help you. Again, unless you're in a stealth mode where you don't want your current employer necessarily to know that you're looking for a job. But using that open to work allows you to see that. You see the open to work section below that, allows you to list some additional job titles. This is what it looks like when you go to fill out that form. It allows you to list some titles. And again, there's some artificial intelligence there. As you see, when I started to type in career, there are different titles that you can use. If the title that you want to enter is not in LinkedIn's directory, unfortunately, it won't let you use it. But it also tells people whether you want to work on site, you want to work part-time from home or remotely, and part-time on site, the hybrid, or you want to work entirely remotely. And likewise, it gives location. And if you're open to relocation, this is where you can tell people you can add several locations there. Well, that's helpful kind of what you want to do. Another area is your analytics section on your homepage, okay? And that allows you to take a look at what some people are, what they're doing with you. How many times have you appeared in an impression on LinkedIn? How many profile views have you had the last 90 days? How many search appearances have you been in? Again, some of the things we're suggesting today, or I'm suggesting, will help improve those numbers. And again, that allows you to do that. By clicking on the one, the search appearances will also show you who some of the companies are that have looked at your background, and they may be some companies you might want to add to your LinkedIn profile as search candidates. Another area that you might want to look at is your about section. Is your featured section. I've listed and have in there some of my LinkedIn demos that I've done, LinkedIn presentations. Again, I've done those over the years, and I'm happy to share them with people. My son, who's a motion graphic designer down in Austin, is a technical event producer as well. So he has his reel of the events that he's done, some of the motion graphics that he's designed for shows down there in Austin area. Again, so that's what you can do if you're in public relations or things like that, or advertising. You can have a portfolio that you can show. Again, those are some things that you do. I know some people have their book there or put their resume on their feature section. The only caveat I would give you about using the featured section for your resume, that may not be the resume that does the best job of presenting you when looking at it. Again, because those resumes tend to be kind of static and cast in concrete, kind of like when they poured concrete walks out in front of your house and you go out and scratch your names in the corner of the concrete. Those last forever if you want to look at it that way. Let's move on and talk about your summary section. Okay, it's really now the about section. It used to be called summary. This is a particularly good one. It's a little longer than I would like, but it's very succinct and to the point. It describes somebody with a background in finance and operations, particularly in financial planning and analysis. And there at the bottom, you see specialty financial planning and analysis. It then incorporates the acronym for that, FP&A. Most recruiters who work in finance and accounting areas know what FP&A, but not all recruiters do. So if you want to use an acronym, at least spell it out the first time that you use it. But that's one that you can have, because some people say that your about section should be paragraphs that are 3, 4, 5 lines at most. Again, to do that as part of the process. Okay, and this one lists some specialties at the bottom of that section: strategic planning and analysis, strategic planning, financial planning. Well, those are some of the things that you can do. Well, here are some other things that you can do, and LinkedIn has kind of adopted a more friendly approach about that. You can use first person now, whereas most resumes, people advise you to write in the third person. But this one, the first example is I'm a grateful partner with many world-class award-winning companies in executive coaching and leadership. They've worked for Disney Corporation in HR and their parks down in Florida. Okay. The second one, I'm a strategic, creative, hands-on marketeer with a passion for opportunity. Again, some of those words are kind of fluffy, and without concrete examples on your resume, I would say that they may be not something that is readily accepted. But because you have so much space in your about section, you have about 2,000 characters to play with in your about section that you can do that. But that's another way that you can talk about yourself in the first person. Let's move on to take a look at the employment section. This is actually a blurb from my profile and my resume. Notice that when I was working with Oracle, the icon is there and it links it accordingly. I've also included something right here. When I left Oracle in 2010, my boss at that time, Amanda Gill, was kind enough to send out a farewell note to the staff, the recruiting staff, and I happened to include that in my profile as well. It's just something that's added to it. The description there is 4 lines of description to my duties, but I've also, when you add it to it, you can also add some accomplishments. The 2 that I've added there, twice selected as recruiter of the quarter for the most hires for the consulting organization. And also selected that year from among 50 recruiters as one of the top recruiters to attend the annual consulting organization, the group that I supported, their annual club meeting in Nassau in the Bahamas. So recruiters want to know what you can do. So they look at your duties and responsibilities, but they also look at the results from performing those duties. So that's a reason to include those bulleted accomplishments. Another thing about that we want to turn to next is something that you can add to your profile. Again, this is something that LinkedIn has added in the last couple of years. But one of the things that is very critical that you have on your LinkedIn profile is a current job. Even if you're unemployed, yes, I mean a current job. You want to say what you're doing about that. You can also add your volunteer experience. Now, my profile, I created my volunteer experience is included in my professional experience. But now you can pull that out as a separate section. But let's take a look at the job hunting kind of role that you might have for a current position. If you're out of work right now, this is a person with a software background was looking for a software applications developer position. Full-time position was the kind of position. And the he lists the industry where he's targeting. But he also lists location that's there as well and can go in and describe duties about his background. You can also add something for if you've had a project background. I know in recruiting for Oracle and for Siebel, I frequently would get resumes from consultants who'd done a lot of project work. And this is a way that you can do that. I just happened to include one for me, project manager and the dates, and added the program manager and what it was. You can also add the list of duties. Frequently, when I would get consultants who had done consulting work, they would list a page for every project they'd had. So their resumes, when you got them, were as many as 6 to 10 pages long. Let's move on down the list of your profile. Again, skills and endorsement is one of the next most important things that you can have. In addition to the job titles and your experience and accomplishments, your skills that are there. You have now LinkedIn allows you to have up to 100 different skills. But if you don't happen to choose the 2 or 3 that you want, LinkedIn will, again, happily choose them for you. And so that one of the ways that you can change that, you can add those as you see. You can click on the boxes like journalism and add those to your profile. Again, if the title that you want to add is not there, again, it will not allow you to add it. Okay, one of the ways to find your skills, and I include this is in this process, there's a group here on this at the top, the link is there. But you can skip, if you click on that skip, it'll go to this page right here and allow you to find the list of skills for things like project management. And it will list the different components, the different skills that you would have as a project manager. Now, this is not a total comprehensive dictionary of job titles and skills. It lists about 150 job titles and the related skills that are with that and how you match up to that. But again, that's a way to test your skills. And if you aren't aware of those, the other way that you can do it is take a look at some of the jobs that you're applying for. They will be happy to tell you some of the requirements. And generally those requirements are the skills that they're looking for. So what you can do with your skills, as I mentioned, are they organized for maximum input? Well, what you can do is when you have your LinkedIn profile and you notice that there's a pencil there, and you take that, there's 3 dots up at the top. If you click on those 3 dots, It will allow you to reorder your skills. And by having your cursor over here on the 4 lines, you can press that, click down on your cursor and drag and drop those. So I could bring technical recruiting all the way to the top again. Or human resources. That's my background, generally is in human resources. And those are the number of recommendations that I've had, or not, that I've had from people about my background. But that's a way that you can reorder those. And that's one way, by going in and changing those perhaps once a week. That can refresh your resume, your profile. Okay. Again, another way to optimize your profile is take a look at some of the people on LinkedIn. Again, those are the competitors that you might have in a given area. I did a search for recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And at that time, when I did the search, there were about 26,500 people with recruiter in their profile. And you might say, well, why do you want to do that? Well, if you weren't showing up in the first 10 screens, and that's 100 thumbnail sketches, you're probably not going to get found for that as a recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay. So that's a way that you can do that by opening those up and taking a look at some of their skills. Okay. Like this one, you can see that she has a senior recruiter as a headline. She also has open to work recruiter, talent acquisition specialist, which is another way that recruiters are labeled today. And I mentioned that, but she has that number of times. So if there's some words that apply to you in somebody else's profile but aren't in your profile, go ahead and adopt those and see what it does to your profile. I'm going to switch gears now and talk about job hunting on LinkedIn and how it impacts on you. I think it's important for you to know how searches are done, or LinkedIn runs searches, and what actually recruiters search for, because there's a little bit of difference there and some search results. So those are some things that we want to take a look at. So what do recruiters really look for? Generally, recruiters are looking for a match. The first thing that I would say, and a lot of recruiters would say that job titles is the first thing that they're going to look for. Those are available on your profile, both in your headline, your open to work section, your about section, and your employment sections, both present and past job titles. Okay. The next area that they take a look at is keywords and skills. Again, so we've talked about that. Those keywords are from your profession. And if you don't have trouble finding those, take a look at some of the jobs you're applying for. They'll mention some of those keywords for you. Or take a look at that skills URL that I put in there to take a look at as well. Okay. Industries and companies, specific companies. There are some industries like healthcare that are very specific about wanting people with healthcare experience. Okay, so that's something that you can have in industries, the industry specific. High tech is one of those, likes people with a high tech background. And we'll see that in some results in just a second. Education and geographic location. Again, that's kind of important. I've had companies, used to be, when I got early in my career in recruiting, somebody had to have a degree. Well, they've modified that to some extent. Equivalent amount of related experience can go a long way toward accounting for a degree. But recruiters prefer candidates who've done the job before, so they'll target specific job titles. That's one of the reasons that they use it. Your current and prior companies and your length of service. Now, looking for your pedigree. Then recruiters tend to look at your summary and your experience. They slow down and actually read it. Once they've looked at the headline, does it have the keywords that appear in the job posting? The about section. Is your about section on your profile a concise overview of your experience, your expertise, and your achievements, your accomplishments? Does your experience simply talk about your duties and responsibilities, or does it show what you've accomplished? What were the results of performing those duties and responsibilities? The activity in posting, do they reflect your expertise? Are you commenting on what somebody else has posted? One of the things I will comment on and give Jeff credit for, he's written one of the best books, short books on job hunting that I'm aware of. And I tend to try and keep current on all those as I go along in my career. Yes, I'm a little bit older, but I still try and keep current on those things. Well, how does a LinkedIn search algorithm actually work? Well, you receive a score for each section of your profile and for your activity. Your ranking in searches is based on the sum of these values. Higher scores appear at the top of the list of results of the qualifications being sought. That's basically how the LinkedIn algorithm works. So let's move on. This is actually an input data. LinkedIn sells two licenses. They sell LinkedIn Recruiter and LinkedIn Recruiter Lite. LinkedIn Recruiter is $10,000 per seat per year. And The Recruiter Lite is 5,000. It allows the LinkedIn Recruiter allows the recruiters to have access to all the people on LinkedIn, the somewhat 1.2 billion people on LinkedIn. And Recruiter Lite is limited to the United States. There are about 180 million people on LinkedIn in the United States. Again, by entering in the data, there are 3 screens of data input. This is just half of one screen. You can take, as this time, if this was done, there were about 710 million people on LinkedIn worldwide. You can narrow that 710 million down in 30 seconds for the input to maybe 70. Okay, by the rules that you put. You have job title, location, skills and assessments, companies, schools, year of graduation. Again, those are the kind of things that the Recruiter Lite and Recruiter software licenses allow a recruiter to find. So let's take a look at an actual search result on LinkedIn. This one was for a product manager up in I think it was the greater Seattle area. They'll take somebody from down in Silicon Valley if they were in the San Francisco Bay Area. They're looking for product management and product marketing. In many cases, the company will combine those duties into one job. When this resulted, there were about 6,900 candidates actually showed up in the pool. And some of them are following the company, if you will, and some have been engaged in the brand. Those are ways that you can follow a company, and it again ups your likelihood of success in linking up with that company. Okay. This is another search. This one was done in Chicago for a project manager. And again, there were about 43,000 in the pool. Again, of those, only 83 were actually looking for a new opportunity. That would have meant to me that when this slide was done, the market was kind of tight for people. Okay, but again, it had the kind of things that they're looking for in terms of skills that I mentioned to you. They're over here. Business strategy and analytics are important. AI is a current buzzword that companies seem to be looking a lot for. But again, they were looking in both in Chicago, but they would take somebody from New York or from San Francisco area. Again, the other things they have, business strategy and analytics, and there's education for somebody in the Chicago area. Evanston, Illinois, where Northwestern is located, it's about 30 miles north of Chicago. So now searching for jobs for you. There's a couple of ways to do that on LinkedIn. You can use the general search box there, or you can go over to the jobs, that little briefcase there, and look there. So we want to look at some of those as well. Okay, so if you use the jobs tab, there, the briefcase, you have two input documents. You can search for jobs and search for location. You can type a job title or a company name in there or an industry name. Locationally, if you haven't already been doing searching, it will default to the United States. Again, when you do that, and this is one from the United States, somebody defaulted, there were almost 200,000 people in the search results. Again, far too many for any good recruiter to take a look at. Most recruiters would refine their search to narrow it down to maybe a couple of hundred. So that's just one of the things that you can talk about, search sales rep, because they didn't define the search as the United States. Again, this one, you can refine your searches to the distance. And the reason that there's a 25-mile tab there on most job searches, now this is a search bar. It can lower it from 25 to 10 or up to 50 on LinkedIn. They've changed that. But one of the reasons is applicants have taught recruiters they don't want to drive more than 20 or 25 miles to work. So most of the job boards have that as the default setting of 25 miles. I've had candidates that I've worked with in outplacement that didn't want to drive more than 10 miles to work, and they were living in Frisco. So again, that narrows the search down to Frisco, Plano, maybe Louisville, the Colony kinds of areas and things to look at. So that's a default setting that you find there. This one I did it for a presentation to the American Association of Quality Assurance people here in Dallas a couple of years ago. And I did a search for quality assurance in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Notice that there were almost 2,000 results there for that in terms of jobs. Well, that's far too many because most of those people, as you see there, are quality inspectors or technicians. But the group that I was working with was high-level professionals or managers. So I added the word quality assurance manager, okay, and narrowed the search down from 1,900 to 174. But again, that's one of the ways that you can do that on the searches for jobs. Okay, and then we will look for, I mentioned that executive assistant one earlier, about 40,000. Again, I think I had refined this search because for an executive assistant for the jobs, one of the ways that you can do that is the date posted. Okay, I suggest that if you're starting out on searches, you limit that to the last week, because a lot of jobs are responded to quickly, and you may have encountered previously where a job is no longer posted or been taken down or closed. Again, putting in location, you have to be very careful about that, because Dallas-Fort Worth, Metroplex, Dallas, Texas, and Dallas County. There's also a Dallas, Georgia, and a Dallas, Oregon. So again, you need to be careful about that as an executive assistant. And 25 miles from this particular one. Okay. LinkedIn also has another one that I put in here was for a recruiter or talent acquisition specialist, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the reason that I did that, you can drop down to other things that I wanted to include, that there are jobs on LinkedIn that are not on LinkedIn. And you say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, if you go down to the groups tab there, some of the groups, and there are many thousand, you can have up to 100 groups on your particular group, some of which are monitored. There's a monitor who allows permission or not. But within the groups, they post jobs within the group that do not appear on LinkedIn proper. Because for LinkedIn proper, it used to be about $200 to post a job for 30 days. Okay, within the group, they can post jobs and they don't cost anything. So posting within the group, typically they're trying to find people of a similar background, and that's the audience in the group of like-minded people. Okay, so that's one thing that's there as well. The other thing in LinkedIn, they have filters. This is an old screenshot of the filters that are available on LinkedIn. Not all of these are available when you do a search today. For some reason, they refined the search. But again, what they've done, I mentioned the past week, click on that one, because that's one you'll find fresher jobs over. Now, if you're having more difficulty finding a job, you might open that up. Or if you have an unusual background, I've dealt with a health and safety environmental engineer, and we looked for a job. He was in Arkansas, and we looked in Arkansas. There were probably 6 jobs, and we opened it up to 4-state region: Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana, and opened it up and found a few more jobs for him. Again, something that LinkedIn picked up from Indeed.com was a salary survey, and the salary survey is not the most accurate, although it is now required in some states that if a job is posted, you have to post the job salary range with it. Those states are New York, Massachusetts, and California. So more and more companies are doing that way. Another thing that I will mention, you see on some jobs, is easy apply. My caveat for that: easy apply, do not use it unless it allows you to post a current resume that's been tailored to the job. Because if it's that resume that you posted in your features section, it may be one that applying or tailored to another job situation. So that's one of the reasons that I mentioned that. You can search by industry and by company and by date. And most jobs on most of the job boards are going to be full-time, but there are some here for contract, part-time, internships, and temporary positions, and volunteer positions. So they have some of those as well, and you can limit the locations as well. So those are some things that you can do with that. Another thing that you can do with LinkedIn is create job alerts. And job alerts, as you see there, allows you to click on that job alert, set the job alert. It's off here. And you can click it on, move the radio button to the right. It allows you to select daily or weekly. If you select daily, it's going to send any new jobs that match your criteria for the job that you posted or saved. And it will send those job postings to you in the morning, usually between 7 and 8 in the morning. I still get some jobs for people that I have, or for recruiter. I don't know why I haven't. I've tried cutting that down, but it does send it to me every morning. And I'll get 3 or 4 jobs to take a look at. Again, but that allows those jobs to be pushed out to you, so you don't have to go looking for them on your own all the time. Okay. Closing up shop, we want to talk about some homework for you. I mentioned completing all sections of your LinkedIn profile, and use the name on your name, if you will, the name that you normally use. My legal name is John Locke Alderson Jr., but there's also a John. There was a John Sr., my dad, and there is a John Jr., and so I go by my middle name. Do refresh your profile at least once a week. Again, that freshness guarantee is something that you need to be aware of. Use the job title or job titles of the positions you're looking for, and not using a job title there in your headline. It's going to default to the title of your last job on LinkedIn in your employment section. Use the open to work section, and you can list additional job titles. List your phone number. This is critical, as I said. List your phone number and email on the first line of your about section. And the reason I say that, if we're not directly linked together as a first degree connection, and you haven't opened up your security setting that your phone number is visible, it will be, I can't contact you. I'd have to go through somebody else. Okay. Anybody who wants the selection, we can do that. It's there, John Locke or LockeAlderson@gmail.com. That's the presentation. I'll try Jeff and get. Oh. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Do you want to look at anybody's profile?
Well, let's do that. Let's see if I can find what I've got. I can't do it, Jeff. I thought I had it all open, but
Okay, I'll
wait a
tell you
minute.
what, I'll do it.
There we
I've
are.
got-
There it is. There's that John Locke Alderson the third. Okay. So let's search for somebody that.
If
somebody's
you'd like
name
us to look at your profile, just pop your name in the chat box, and we will look at your profile. All right, Charles,
Yes.
and last name is Nguyen.
Yes. I set the link on the chat box.
Is this you, Charles? Charles Wynn,
Yes.
MBA?
Yep.
Okay, we're first degree connections. And there's Charles there. You can see his background. He's got a banner shot of doing a technical presentation. You can also, as Jeff has in his profile banner shot, he's got his contact information up there as well.
Okay.
The contact information, I like to take a look at that and see what somebody's done. He's got his email address and his phone number there. If we had not been first degree connections, I strongly suggest you put it in the top of your about section. He's got his open to work section. He's got.
I do have it in my about section, do I not?
That's
I have
fine. Well,
okay.
we'll look at that in just a second.
Oop. Just hold on right there for a second, Locke. Whoop, go back up.
Okay.
Do you have, I see your email address and your phone number. Is that in your title?
What do you mean my title?
In your where you can edit your, what FP&A senior manager?
Oh, yes, that's in my title. Yes.
Okay, I would take that off because I've heard that LinkedIn will lock you out if they see a phone number or an email address there.
Okay.
Okay.
They also have, after your name, they can fuss at you if you put MBA up there as well. Again, I don't say necessarily eliminate that, but again, that's something to be aware of if you put that.
Okay.
The MBA is okay, but email and phone number, you do not want it. You want to put that down in your about section.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If you've got it in your about section, it doesn't show up. Okay. Oh, yeah, it is on the bottom line. I like to put it on the top. Let's connect and the phone number, email and phone number. Put it on the top line because normally those are what's seen. You've only got three lines in your about section. Again, you're shortchanging yourself. You have 2,000 characters and you've used about 150.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is put instead of putting the number and email in the in the title, put it in the about section and
Put it in
on
the top
first
line of your about section.
Okay.
Okay. And your phone number. If you want people to call you, that's what you want to do. Let's
Okay.
take a look at that. Senior finance manager with One Technology. The question comes up, what have you been doing since July? Again, you need to have a position in there, maybe looking senior finance manager, what type of high-tech industry in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the kind of job, that blank job that I mentioned is one of the sections that you can add. You can go in when you have that pencil and add a job in there. There's a plus in there to add a job. Okay.
Okay.
Because and notice what's there in terms of the job description. Okay. This is what people see. I have to click on see more to do that. If that's all the duty, what were the accomplishments that you had? Increased gross margin by 5%. If there's a dollar amount that you can mention that's not proprietary, that's more impactful.
Yeah, I'm worried about proprietary
That's fine.
information.
I just mentioned if you can.
Yeah.
I know with that. Okay. The other thing I wanted to take a look at on yours is skills, financial modeling and due diligence. Now, those are the two skills. Okay. that you mentioned, are those the one that are the strongest one, your strongest selling points?
Okay.
If we're not, I mentioned that when you go to look at your profile, there's going to be 3 dots right over in this area. And you click on that and you can reorder your skills. But I would say financial modeling, you've got 25 skills here. Are there others that are more? Due diligence would not be one that I would necessarily choose. Financial analysis, maybe. Strategy, business planning, strategic planning. Again, you can rotate some of these on a regular basis, as I mentioned, to refresh your resume or refresh your profile. You might want to do that on a weekly basis and see what results you get. Other than that, I think you can amplify what you've done there in terms of that. So good looking back. You can apply all of these skills to the industry, the companies that you've worked for as well. Okay.
Okay.
Let's try another one, Jeff.
Okay. Kelsey Wise.
Oh,
I'd
be type, I'd be dangerous.
There we
Okay,
go.
now Kelsey's a secondary degree connection to me. Okay, so I'm going to look and see what she's done in her contact information. Guess what? She has not opened up her security settings so that I can see that. So again, one of the things I would say to her, my screen is touch sensitive. Okay. She's open to work. She's got that good. Learning and development, training and development is another one. Okay. Organizational development is something else. And recruiting coordinator, event coordinator, all good titles. Again, she's looking at Dallas-Fort Worth area. She's open to the types of work that she has. Prefer remote location. Okay. Okay. Her about section. Again, there's only 3 lines that are there that show up to people.
Locke, your screenshot is frozen.
I'm sorry?
Your screenshot is frozen. We only see the top half of Kelsey's thing. If you're scrolling down, it's not moving on us.
Okay, I don't know what to.
Do you have 2 of them open by chance?
No, I don't have 2 open. Is that better, Jeff?
No, it's just frozen.
Okay.
Maybe unshare and share again.
Yeah, let me, I'm going to stop the share and let you reshare.
Okay. I take care of it?
Well, I'll see it moves. I don't know yet.
Okay.
There we go. Well, yeah. Yep, it's going again.
I'll scroll over on the side. Losing my voice. Come on. Okay. Her about section. I would move that let's connect to the top of your about section, Kelsey.
Okay, great. I can do that.
Okay.
And the other thing is I would reduce your paragraphs to no more than 3 or 4
4 or 5
lines.
lines at most.
Yeah, big blocks of
Okay.
text people tend to not look at.
Okay. Again, you can separate that and you can use bullets in between paragraphs to break it up so people look about. Think about it. There used to be a newspaper that you get at the hotels, USA Today, and they were short staccato-like statements. Again, one of the ways that you can do that is to think about when you open your email in the morning, okay? Typically what happens is you look at the sender and you look at the at the subject line and make a decision about it. That's what people are going to do with your profile. Okay. Okay. Your skills that you have there, emotional intelligence and employee engagement, those would not be the ones that I would use to describe you. What are the ones that you would want to use to describe you? Okay. Learning and development, organizational change. What are the titles of some of the jobs that you're looking for, Kelsey? That's what you want to use that are there.
Okay.
Again, and you can rotate those by going to the three dots that are going to be over in this general area, and then reorder those by holding your cursor down on the 4 lines and drag and drop.
Okay.
Okay. But again, you've got a good background. It's just a question of doing a better job of presenting it.
Got it. Thanks very much.
Okay. Somebody else, Jeff.
All right, one more. Let's see here. Mark Redd, R-E-D-D.
Okay. Again, his contact information is going to be, I won't touch my screen. I apologize. Okay. He's got his phone. He's got his email address, but no phone number.
You're saying we should have email and phone number publicly available?
You bet. If you want people to call you,
Yeah, sure.
okay. Make it easy for
You
them.
can always take your phone number off after you get a job.
Right.
Stop
Or
that,
the other
but
thing that you can do is to get a Gmail, a Google phone number will
Google
screen your
Voice
calls for
number.
you. People have
That
told me
way
that.
you
I
don't
still
have to
don't know how to
put your
do
phone
it.
number there.
Got it.
Okay, he's open to work, so he's got that in sales. You've got your email address on your about section on the top. I would also put your phone number because you want to make it easy for them. The fewer clicks I have to make to be able to get hold of you if I'm interested. Okay. Again, let's take a look at your headline. Sales executive, builder of strong teams. Well, builder, that's not one of the teams I've ever searched for as a builder. Okay. Trusted retail partners, trusted partner. Again, what are some of the job titles that you're looking for? Business development is one area. Strategic leader, revenue expansion. That's a descriptive of a functional area, not of a job title. Again, for me and a lot of recruiters that I know, they search by job titles. You've got those down in your open to work section. You can add some of those there. You've used about 120 characters in your headline. You have 220 to play with. And when you get to the end, it will tell you that you've run over the limit. Okay.
Okay.
But sales and business development is another acronym for sales. Again, what are some of the other titles that when you do a job search, the title on the headline on the search is not always going to be sales. It's going to maybe be something else. What I'm trying to do is to scroll down in my okay. Searching for a job full-time. Is there an industry that you're in? Are you industry specific? CERTA is mattresses and territory manager. Again, Seymour, again, that you're with them for almost 18 years. Okay. UT Austin and then skills. Okay. Sales strategy and endorsements. Okay. Sales operations. Are those the titles that you want to have? Okay. What are the skills that you want to have? We're looking at your skills now in terms of sales operations, sales strategy, channel management, territory management, strategic partnerships, team leadership, probably not one. But you can see that you have others that are down there. Now, what are some of the titles that when you're looking for people, when you've looked for jobs? New business development. If you're looking for some jobs in sales are strictly business developers. Okay, new business development. Sales leadership, probably not. Microsoft Teams. Those are things, those are skills that you have, but those are not the ones that I would look for when I'm looking for a job. Sales director, business development manager, again, are the kind of things, those are the ones that I would have. You can have the others there, but rotate some of those around using that 3 dots and reorder, and then you can drag and drop the titles that you want there. Okay.
Right.
Mark, I think we've given you some decent suggestions, and you've got a pretty good one to start with. Again, what are some of the accomplishments that you had in your experience area that you want to talk about? Okay. The area that I'm talking about, you were managing a region of 112 billion. I would spell out the 112 billion as well. It has a greater impact on our brain. Okay. Again, one of the things about this, you've used a bulleted format, again, to break it up a little bit and maybe use some paragraphs and bullets. Because when you're listing all the bullets like that, you're trying to get which ones do you want me to pay attention to?
And results sell. So read a bullet point, and when you read the bullet point at the end of it, say, so what? And if you can't get a result, if you can't show the result, you need to update the bullet point. Because I need to hire somebody who can do X, Y, and Z. And if I can see you do it, then I'm more inclined to call you up.
Okay, the $112 million region, okay, did you grow the business? Was the business static? Did the business shrink? If you grew it, you want to talk about that. If you added, because sort of, I don't know, were you working a sort of corporate or with one of the mattress retail outfits?
No, it was the manufacturing side.
The manufacturer side. So you were selling to the retail outlets. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So again, if business increased, that's something you can talk about. If you didn't, don't worry about it. But if you have things like that, you want to talk about the accomplishment. What were the results?
Well, wouldn't that be, so is it wrong to have it down here with achievements?
No. But I would merge them to try and merge them together. The more times you talk about an accomplishment, it adds credibility to your experience. They can link them directly together.
Yeah, I see so many profiles, so many LinkedIn profiles, they read like a job description. That's not what, I need to know what you did and how you did it.
How well you did it.
Yeah, with
Okay.
the result, because that's what sells.
We're running out of time, Jeff. Thank you again for having me. I'll let you end the sharing.
All right, so if you'd like to get Locke's deck, you can just send Locke an email to lockealderson@gmail.com. Tell him you'd like to get the deck, and that'll make it easy for him. Next week, our speaker is going to be Kurt Vonnemotter. He's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. We'll talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. So he's retained search executive who's trying to find you, and he'll talk about how you can help him to make it easy for him to find you. So join us next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the practice interview team is meeting in person. There's no online Zoom tomorrow. It'll be in person only. They meet in person on the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays of the month at Christ United Methodist Church in Plano, at Coit Parker in Plano.
It's worth going, even if you're
Wednesday. Go ahead.
It's worth going to, even if you're just witnessing what they're doing to practice your interviews. Because I know I was part of the team back in the 2012, 2014 for about 18 months. Yeah,
just by watching somebody else be interviewed, you will learn And there'll be feedback after the interview. They'll give the candidate feedback and allow you as an observer to also do that. So you can do that. On the fourth Wednesday of the month, they will be online. So anybody who's outside the DFW area, you're welcome to join them then, or join us then. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we're going to do open forum the first Friday of every month, and we didn't do it this first Friday because that would have been January 2nd. The church was closed. But this coming Friday, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about in your job search. So bring your questions, your comments, and you can offer feedback to other people, other suggestions. It's just not ask me questions. This is ask anybody who's in the room who's online to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about in your job search. You're welcome to join the Career DFW or CareerUSA.org LinkedIn groups. I started both of them when we started the websites. Currently in the DFW group, there's over 16,000 members. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join that group. But the nice thing is you can reach out once you've connected with those people in the group. You can send them direct messages if you want to, even if you're not a first degree connection, you can connect with anybody in those groups. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. If you'd like, please subscribe to the channel. That way, every time we post a new video, you'll find out about it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Every video that I post goes into one of 7 different playlists. And then at the very bottom, we see the red arrow, click on view full playlist, and up will come a list in chronological order of the most recent video on top, and you can go back and watch any video at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can just scan this QR code and send an email, or send a blank email to Career USA, the +subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spam because I control the list, and we only send 1 or 2 emails out every week. So you'll get all the links to the meetings that we're doing each week. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Locke is a volunteer. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 17 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at the PIC Crew or Friday at the North Dallas Group. Thanks, Locke.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me again.